As of about 5 hours ago, Ukrainian armed forces announced they completed their withdrawal from Avdiivka. This was to avoid encirclement by Russian forces. In turn, of course, Russia announcing that it has control of Avdiivka, or whatever's left of it. But in fact, I would argue this is not that much of a Russian victory, and the U.S. president himself has said that the blame falls on the U.S. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. So this is the current map of the city of Avdiivka. And if we walk 24 hours back, you can see 24 hours ago, Ukrainian armed forces engaged in substantial fighting across the entire city, particularly fighting taking place here along this line near Lechtochke and Severna. And you can see Ukrainian armed forces withdrawing first to the urban core of Avdiivka, followed by a withdrawal to this defensive line here. You can see also it looks like there were some limited counterattacks here east of Lechtochne, and resulting in a pretty clean defensive line along either the edge of these urban areas here and along these windbreaks. So Ukraine retreating to prepared defensive positions. Russia and the Kremlin in turn claiming to have taken Avdiivka. Not claiming, they did take Avdiivka, right? Both sides are in agreement that this is what occurred. And the Ukrainian commander-in-chief, Syrskyi, reporting that it was done to avoid encirclement. So it sounds like, while I think Ukraine waited probably a day or two longer than they should have, again, bear in mind that just because we're seeing this now doesn't mean that it wasn't happening, days or weeks prior. I still think Ukraine probably waited longer than they should have, but nonetheless, it is a good sign that this withdrawal seems to have happened in good order. Again, the next 24 hours will tell us if Ukraine's prepared positions are able to be stabilized and if Russian forces don't really have the momentum. I think that's probably the case. As we've talked about, in towns like Avdiivka, one of the issues is that you have to clear a lot of these areas of partisans, of booby traps, of other potential surprises left by, in this case, Ukrainian forces. And so Russian forces may find themselves tied up doing those kind of tasks, as well as preparing new defensive positions. Remember, there's likely a lot of Ukrainian minefields that these Russian troops have to navigate and clear. So I sort of suspect that even if the Ukrainians weren't fully prepared, the number of tasks ahead of the Russian troops mean that I think we're unlikely to see Russians push the offensive or be able to push the offensive much, right? Even Russian commanders who are pretty delusional at times have to admit that their forces probably aren't capable of conducting exploitation, which is, of course, the tactical term for following up a successful attack on a retreating enemy. When we look over to the live UA map, you can see basically the same broad contours. Again, this windbreak here, the Avdiivka coke plant, all of which are pretty much held by Russian forces at this point. Now, before I talk about the why I think this happened and what price I think Russia paid, real quick, if you are feeling like you are beleaguered on all sides, I don't know, guys. I'm looking for more. I'm trying to get creative with the segues. Bear with me. You want to check out Strike Gum. Strike Gum is, of course, my gum, invented as a response to my time in Afghanistan when I had to drink sugary, carbonated energy drinks to get my caffeine on long patrols. I wish there was a way I could put an energy drink in my pocket. And this is the solution. Each one of these pieces has as much caffeine as a Red Bull or an Amp Energy, none of the sugar, and 100 milligrams of alpha GPC for additional cognitive clarity. So if you're interested, you should check it out, strikegum.com. We have veteran discounts. We have military discounts. Valentine's Day has passed, right? You probably got a lot of candy. I know if you're like me, you bought that discounted candy the day after because you're a savvy consumer. Just like you're not going to spend $4 a pop on a Red Bull when you could get an entire pack of Strike Gum for $5.99 or a tray, 75 pieces for $69.99, which works out to, like, if you get the discount, like 70 cents a piece, right? So an energy drink's worth of caffeine for 70 cents. That's a pretty good deal, right? That's better than even Starbucks. So anyway, check us out, strikegum.com. Okay, here's what I wanted to actually talk about, what I think is the most significant. There's some significant stuff here. First off, the Russian losses in Avdiivka, like, do not kid yourself. In December, the U.S. estimated that the Russian military took 13,000 casualties along the Avdiivka front. Now, if you want to do a little bit of back of the napkin math here, if we assume conservatively that the Russians continue to push in Avdiivka at the same scale, which I don't think they did. I think they went harder. But let's assume December, January, and February were comparable in casualties, right? You're looking at about 40,000 troops killed in an effort to take this town. As we know, Russia depleted about 10% of all its tanks on the battlefields anywhere in Ukraine just to take Avdiivka. So what did they win for their hard-fought gains? Again, I bear this in mind, guys. Here's the town of Avdiivka, right? Here's a pretty good example of sort of what Russia has retaken. And when we zoom out, we realize that here is everything that Russia hopes to retain in this conflict. So as you can see, it's not really clear that this is the stunning victory that Russia hopes it is. And certainly, was it worth 50,000 Russian lives? Probably not, guys. Well, I'm not Putin, right? Maybe if I was a power-hungry dictator, I would think it was a easy price to pay. But it's not, right? Human lives are not worth up the piles of bricks that constitute Avdiivka. But here's the other thing. Right? About the same time as when the withdrawal was completed, Zelensky put in a call to President Biden. And this, I thought, was really interesting. President Biden himself, in his public transcript of the call, basically said, I'm sorry, apologized to Zelensky. The Ukrainian military forced to withdraw from Avdiivka. This is a quote. This morning, from Biden, Ukraine's military was forced to withdraw from Avdiivka after Ukrainian soldiers had to ration ammunition due to dwindling supplies as a result of congressional inaction, resulting in Russia's first notable gain in months. Right? President Biden emphasized the need for Congress to urgently pass the National Security Supplemental Funding Bill to resupply Ukrainian forces, according to the White House readout of the call. So it's no surprise that Alexei Navalny killed off by Russia within hours of this withdrawal. Remember, Putin and Ukraine and likely the U.S. probably knew about 48 hours ago that the withdrawal was underway. So it's interesting that Putin clearly silencing one of his largest critics and burying his death in news of this stunning Russian victory over a small mining town. But again, what surprises me too is the strength of Biden's condemnation. He's actually pretty furious. He told reporters Saturday that he's not confident other Ukrainian towns wouldn't also fall, saying, quote, "It's unethical that the U.S. is not providing more aid to the Ukrainian people after they fought so bravely and heroically." He said, quote, "The idea that we are now running out of ammunition and they are running out of ammunition and we walk away, I find it absurd. I find it unethical," he said. He said, "I find it contrary to everything we are as a country." And actually, I think he's spot on this one, right? Credit where credit's due. Yeah, we're the United States of America, and our strength is in our allies, right? I know it's like a pretty edgelord take to shit on the United States, but who doesn't have allies like the United States? China. And you know why? Because China wakes up every day and asks, how can we screw other people and make China and Chinese, particularly Han Chinese, better off? That is what wakes them up every single day. Their deals are one-sided. They don't believe in mutually winning scenarios. And their lack of alliances show it. Russia's the same way, right? Does the average Moldovan seem like they really love being under the Russian thumb, right? The Ukrainians are literally have taken hundreds of thousands of casualties just to not be under the Russian thumb. And so I say this because the reason is because being an ally of the United States is so valuable. We don't try, with a tiny number of exceptions in our history, we don't try to change your fundamental system of government. We don't come in and try to re-engineer you. We don't pick favorite ethnic groups in your country. Instead, we simply ask for, we have mutual defense treaties in which we gain a diplomatic and military friend, and you gain the defense of the largest military on earth, right? We are great friends to have, but those friendships only mean something to these countries if the U.S. military, if the U.S. backs you up, right? If the U.S., when it commits to something, it says, we commit all the way. Listen, we spent 20 years propping up, trying absolutely desperately to make a secular government work in Afghanistan, right? For 20 years, we went to bat for those guys. Cost us almost $1 trillion. And the fact that, we tried up until those last couple months, right? The last couple months, we let our allies hang out to dry. But the fact that up until that point for 19 and a half years, we stuck by those people. They were our allies. And yet we can't stick by Ukraine for 2 is absolutely preposterous. And it's going to make every other U.S. ally think twice about what exactly it means, right? If Germany's asking itself, okay, if we got attacked by Russia, how likely would the U.S. be to actually show up? Would U.S. soldiers actually defend Berlin? Would the U.S. send us weapons and equipment? For how long? Would they send it after? Would they stop after 24 months? Would they stop after the next election cycle? These are questions that every single ally is asking because we committed to help Ukraine repel Russian aggression, and now that it needs it, we're bailing. And we have so much money, dude. We spend, this Ukraine aid is, I think, what did we look it up? We looked it up. It's like 5% of the U.S. defense budget. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the equivalent of, if you make $32,000 a year, it's the equivalent of like, what's that? $1,500, right? Like, it's not a trivial amount, but it's also very, very, very affordable, right? And that's, so again, I think you should write to your congressman. I've got it. The link, as always, is in the description. Tell them that you support Ukraine. You have to write one sentence, and that you believe that the Ukraine aid should be passed. It seemed like it was going to happen, and then suddenly the House is just stalling it out, right? And they just went on vacation. Yeah, that's right, guys. Our allies are in crisis, and the U.S. House on a 2-week break. In case you're wondering what it feels like to be in a failing country with a useless, ineffectual government, this is it. If you hate the bill, then you know what? Just come out and say it. Just be like, fuck those Ukrainians, right? Like, fuck them. Just be like, we want Russia to win. We think it's best that Russia win. Just say it, right? You're a politician. Grow a spine. Be like, we support Russia. We don't support Ukraine. And let the public know that's where you stand, so that way Ukraine can actually move on and look for an ally who's going to back them up, right? Instead of making vague statements of like, oh, I don't plan to bring the bill to the floor, and then we're going to go on a break. We're going to go on vacation. Honestly, fuck these useless politicians. Not a one of them. Not a one of them is a decent person. But who is a decent person? The Colonel tier members at combatvetnews.com, right? You guys support me, keep me able to do this, able to bring you honest assessments of what's going on in Ukraine. Feels like there's not many of us left still doing this, but I'm here to bring you guys at least the best analysis that I can give you, the best open source analysis. And certainly, if you're on combatvetnews.com, that's where we get the uncensored combat footage. So thanks. Hit like and subscribe. Tell the YouTube algorithm this video was good. I'll see you in the next one.